Hi everyone, so at the moment I'm starting a series on managing your energy. It's about time I start to share my wealth of knowledge as an energy healer and someone who's been working with their own energy intensely for about 5 years now, starting with the acting training and learning that that's what I was actually doing there and learning how it was shifting things around me and what it was actually influencing. And in this first episode, I want to talk about energy and presence because I feel like that's where it all started with me, and that's a really great place to start with. So guys, our energy is constantly in flow. It is constantly having demands to move through us. And there's constantly demands from the outside world on our energy, whether we are aware of it or not. And this is our relationship to other people, signs, just any kind of human construct. Actually, the places most void of artificial demands on our energy is when we're in nature. So it's a great place to go and recharge your energy. But I'll be talking about that in later episodes. So great ways to channel your energy is any kind of activity which makes us feel elated and great with ourselves. And that could be your pastimes of singing, dancing, art, writing, sports, your job at accounting, crunching numbers, gets you into a state of flow, whatever that is, going on walks by yourself. These are all great ways to channel your energy and put them towards something positive. However, I think if you want to get acquainted with ways to deeply shift your energy and do energy work and work on your interior, the best way to start is to get deeply acquainted with yourself, no other stimulus, and see what energy is doing inside you right then and there. And that's why I suggest meditation as a great first tool for learning to manage your energy. And in particular, I would suggest mindfulness or silent meditation. Ones where you sit down, feel your weight on whatever you're sitting, or you can lie down. But if you're falling asleep as you lie down, then you're not doing the work. So maybe start with sitting up, because this can put people into a very relaxed state where they pass out. That's great if you're trying to learn to meditate to go to sleep, which is how I started. Guys, I didn't start meditating out of some noble cause to want to be more enlightened and more spiritual or anything like this, or be able to give these talks to people. This is just the end result of what life led me to. I started meditating because I was an insomniac and it really helped me sleep. And so I had better do it if I want to cherish my sanity. And now I just think it's, especially at this time where this stuff is becoming more prevalent, our energies are intensifying, there's a lot of shifts going on. This is an important place to start to get acquainted with your own energy. And so mindfulness meditation or silent meditation is a great way, I think, to start. And you don't need to start hard, just 5-10 minutes a day. I would suggest you do it at a moment where you have downtime, so that you're not caught in the fray of your day. Or, if you start to enjoy it, take 5 minutes in the middle of something that you know is not worth your stress, but you will have to deal with. But you have 5 minutes before you can go deal with it. To just sit with yourself and feel what it's like to just sit, wanting to stave off any demands, any urges, any addictions from that moment. What are the first things that come up that make it hard for you to sit with yourself? These are the demands that are happening constantly on your energy, and you're learning your relationship in terms of how capable you are of just sitting with it. And so this may be difficult in the beginning. What happens after a while, say when you start to move to the 10 minutes, because you've be able to get through the 5 minutes, and you might even just want to sit more. It feels nice. 10 minutes in the morning, if you can wake up early enough to give yourself that time. Or 10 minutes before you go to sleep. This is another great time I suggest to do this, because right before you go to sleep, you can give yourself time to just cycle through those thoughts, because things have made a demand on your energy. Cycle through them without getting attached to them. And even if you get attached to them, you're just giving yourself the time. And what you'll notice is the more you practice this, the more that you might start with a frantic attachment to the energy of your thoughts. And this is how you might be with your thoughts most of the time without noticing. And your body, your psyche is compensating for that. It's correcting for that. That's maybe wasting a lot of your time and energy in terms of managing that and handling that and still getting on with what you want to do. Maybe it's affecting your eating. Maybe it's affecting your downtime, where you feel like you need to feel all right with yourself. Rather than learning to give that to yourself, I'm actually realizing how you actually work and how energy is actually flowing through you. So after a while, what will happen is the same consistency of thoughts will continue to flow. Same images and emotions may come up. However, your response to those will be different. You'll be able to be more relaxed as this goes on autopilot, because you'll start to learn that there is no point in getting fraught about every thought that you have, because there is an autopilot going on in there. It is being affected by what you're facing in the day and what your core beliefs are in response to those things that you're facing in the day, and how that affects the things that you actually want for yourself, etc., etc., etc. It's just happening to you despite yourself. So when you start to meditate, you get acquainted with energy. And you might even be able to find moments of silence within that meditation practice, where you get caught up in your thoughts. And guys, the whole point of mindfulness and silent meditation is to follow your breath. But to be honest, the biggest part of mindfulness and silent meditation, even for someone who's been doing it for 8 years, is to get caught up in your thoughts until you have a moment where you go, oh yeah, I'm meditating. And then you hear your breath for a second, or you hear your breath underneath the noise of your thoughts, or you hear the noise of your thoughts and your breath underneath that. It's just a practice that incorporates into the body, that integrates into the body another way of viewing your thoughts, your emotions. Even if for the rest of the day you're not going to view it that way, just know that the work is affecting you. Just know that you will start to learn over time how to be more present in situations. And for example, another great time to meditate is, for me at least, is public transport on the way to places. If you're on your own, especially if it's something that makes you anxious, you have a presentation, you're on your way to work, whatever it is, you're going to see family members, you don't know how that's going to go, you're going to see a partner and you're anxious because you're going into a date. Just to sit with yourself and know that you might not be able to fight any of the emotions you're having, but you can actually still be you despite them. You can just sit with those emotions, remember your breath, and the world's not going to end. And what you'll start to notice is that the better you get at this, and the more you start to actually enjoy tuning in deeply with yourself, the more you'll carry that into situations and realize you don't need to get caught up in the energy of other things, because you love sitting with yourself sometimes, and you'll be able to meditate later. And then you might think, well, okay, I know that, so why not go through with this, even if it's difficult? I still have that moment of meditation later. And the moment of meditation starts to represent what you have anyway, all the time. And so what will start to happen is, because you have deeply gotten in touch with yourself, you'll start to notice that a lot of other people's stuff is because they're not deeply in touch with their own presence. And that will start to make sense to you, because you've gone through the experience of understanding what energy is, what demands on energy are, and you start to be able to have more compassion more easily with other people. You'll start to be able to look at them from the place of a doctor, of a guru, of a sage, of there's a lot of stories by Alan Watts about Hindu sages who look at someone coming up and asking for their help, or monks, Buddhist monks who look at someone coming up and asking for their help with like a cheeky grin on their face, because what they're really thinking is, what a great disguise you came to me in, reflection of myself, part of the oneness, Brahman, the Godhead divided. And they look at that thing as a reflection of themselves who's forgotten itself. And this is the mindfulness, silent meditation, presence practices tune you into this line of thinking of what that actually means. And simply said, we are all energy underneath. And that's really what it's about. So once you start to get acquainted with that, things start to shift. Especially if you start to find yourself at a stage where you get excited about being able to sit with yourself. What you'll also start to feel is energy physically in the body. So when you start to sit with yourself, when you start to get mindful enough that you can just feel sensations in the body, you start to feel tingling in places. And one thing that blew my mind once I conceived of it in terms of my energy practices, and helped me be more grateful and more present and start to understand truly what it is to stand in your own power, is I told myself that this tingling that I feel in my body is actually what it feels like to be me all the time. But usually I have other concerns. So my body's correcting for it because I don't have time to just sit there and feel that like it feels like a party's going on in my fingers or my foot or my third eye or whatever. And that's what it feels like to be me. And also once you start to get acquainted with this, you'll have stronger intuition. You'll start to notice, even subconsciously, what thoughts are linked with what parts of your body, what sensations you have in your body. And then maybe you want to respond to the sensations rather than the ideas of the situation. And this is deeper intuition. So guys, to sum it up, when you're present, when you learn to be with yourself, what you're doing is you're not sending out your energy as much. You're not getting it tangled up in stories. And these are stories that we invite. Because the energy we go out with will attract the pattern from someone else that wants us to change it, that wants us to face something in us, that wants us to heal. We're always on a journey, and our energy is always calling out our story. Whether it just be subconscious conversations, or you want to believe that like you're consciously manifesting your own reality through energy. There's different levels, and whatever you feel most grounded with. Some people take joy in that idea. It's a chicken or the egg thing. Psychology might be explaining it fully. Spirituality might be explaining it fully. It might be somewhere in between because it's just too big for us to conceive. And so what you start to notice is when you go into places having harmonized your energy for 10, 15 minutes, usually, in my experience, that next experience will be quite peaceful. Or you'll just have a different response in those circumstances. Because you'll have a different relationship to your own impulses, your own urges, because you will be used to sitting with them a lot longer. And maybe you just get fraught and sensitive to what energy from other people feels like. So you just want to come back to your own, and you'll start to notice that draws people into your energy. So instead of the situation having to resolve itself through the intensity of their energy, you might call them into your energy and actually start to change their behavior just by learning to be really present and not giving away your energy in that moment, because you've learned that actually it feels amazing to be you, so you can come back to that even in the face of adversity. Depends what that adversity is. Some things call for quicker responses. I'm not saying to go through life sedated by any means, but just this is a great practice to start to get acquainted with yourself energetically.